My name is Ryan Mercer. 3 winters ago, my younger sister Emma and I worked at a small weather monitoring station deep in the Colorado mountains. The place was isolated, no nearby town, no neighbors, no passing traffic, just endless pine forests, steep cliffs, and miles of frozen wilderness. Most people couldn't survive a week there. We had lived there for nearly 8 months. At first, the silence felt peaceful. Later, it felt like something was watching us. The station consisted of 3 buildings, a living cabin, a storage shed, and an enormous rusted water tank that sat on a hill behind the property. Nobody used the tank anymore. The water system had been replaced years ago. Still, the old structure remained. Every time I looked at it, I felt uneasy. I couldn't explain why. Neither could Emma. Yet both of us avoided going near it after dark. Then came the blizzard. The worst storm we'd experienced all year. Visibility dropped to almost zero. Power lines failed. Radio signals became unreliable. And shortly before sunset, Emma left in the snowcat to inspect a damaged weather tower 2 miles away. She should have returned within 40 minutes. She never did. Hours passed. No radio response, no headlights, nothing. I tried reaching her repeatedly. Silence. By midnight, panic had replaced concern. Outside, snow hammered the windows hard enough to shake the cabin walls. I was preparing to search for her at first light when I heard it. A voice, faint, distant, coming from outside. Ryan! My entire body froze. It was Emma. I rushed to the door and stepped onto the porch. The storm screamed around me. Snow swirled through the darkness. Then the voice came again. Ryan, help me! The sound wasn't coming from the road. It wasn't coming from the forest. It was coming from the hill, from the old water tank. I stared at the black silhouette looming through the snow. The giant rusted cylinder stood motionless beneath the moonlight. Then I heard Emma crying. Inside it, my instincts told me something was wrong, very wrong. There was no way Emma could be inside that tank. The hatch had been welded shut for years, yet her voice continued, begging, crying, calling my name. Against my better judgment, I grabbed a flashlight and started climbing the hill. The deeper I walked into the storm, the quieter everything became. Even the wind seemed to fade, as if the mountain itself were holding its breath. The tank towered above me, 40 feet tall, covered in rust, half buried in snow, and somehow the welded hatch was open. A narrow black opening waited near the bottom. The voice came from inside. Ryan, please. I shined my flashlight through the opening. At first, I saw nothing, only darkness. Then dozens of pale shapes shifted within. Bones, hundreds of them, animal skeletons, deer antlers, skulls, broken ribs, all piled together. And then they moved. The entire pile began rearranging itself. Bones snapping, antlers twisting, skulls grinding together, forming something impossible. A massive creature slowly unfolded from the darkness. Its body resembled a giant elk, but it stood upright like a man. Its head consisted of dozens of animal skulls fused together. Its antlers scraped the ceiling of the tank. and from somewhere deep inside that nightmare, Emma's voice continued speaking. "Ryan, come closer." The creature took a step forward.
Then another.
Each movement sounded like 100 bones breaking simultaneously. I ran. The thing exploded from the tank behind me.
The ground shook beneath its weight.
I didn't dare look back. I sprinted downhill toward the station. The creature followed, faster than anything that size should have been able to move. The radio tower beside the cabin suddenly flashed. Lightning struck the mountain. A blinding burst illuminated the valley.
For one brief second, I saw the monster clearly.
And I realized something horrifying.
Human faces were trapped inside its ribcage, dozens of them,
frozen in silent screams. The next lightning strike hit the old water tank directly. A deafening explosion echoed through the mountains. The tank ruptured. Metal fragments flew through the air.
The creature let out a scream unlike anything human. Then it vanished into the storm, gone. Just gone.
When rescue teams finally reached the station, 2 days later, they found Emma.
Her snowcat had crashed into a ravine miles away.
She had died before I ever heard the voice. The coroner estimated she had been dead for nearly 6 hours, which meant the thing inside the water tank couldn't have been her. Before leaving the mountain, one of the older rescuers quietly pulled me aside. When I described the creature, his face turned pale. He told me local hunters had spoken for generations about something called the Collector, a thing that steals voices from the dead
and uses them to lure the living. The abandoned water tank was later demolished. The remains were hauled away.
The mountain was declared safe, but sometimes, late at night, I still wake up to a voicemail on my phone.
The message is always empty for the first few seconds.
Then I hear Emma's voice, softly whispering my name, and every single time, the call comes from a number that doesn't exist. The story ends here, but some mysteries never truly end. Good night, and I'll see you in the next story.